Do we really have to go back to base? Let's go get a pizza and celebrate.
Celebrate? You wrecked 6 city blocks.
Oh, come on. It was 4th the most. Alright, maybe 5.
Generator Rex is a 2010 Cartoon Network animated series created by Man of Action, the same people who made the original Ben 10. And while Generator Rex is completely different from its predecessor, I think it is one of the most underrated cartoons of its time period. Like, it's not the most amazing show ever made, but I feel like it deserves more credit, because the titular protagonist of Generator Rex is a really compelling human character. In a world plagued by a nanomachine pandemic where every living thing has been infected by volatile nanites that threaten to turn them into monsters at any given moment, a young teenager named Rex Salazar, voiced by Daryl Sabrera from Spy Kids, finds himself with the ability to control these nanomachines, making him both humanity's only hope of a cure, as well as their greatest defense against the exponentially variegated organisms, or EVOs, running amok. Employed by a private military corporation named Providence, Rex works alongside a doctor, a secret agent, and a talking monkey in order to keep the world safe. But what the protagonist really wants is to have a normal life. He wants friends his own age, a relationship with the goth girl he likes, and to find out what happened to his family that he can't remember because of amnesia. He has superpowers, but he's still a teenager driven by his emotional needs, to the point where he often ditches his corporate handlers to assert his freedom, and empathizes with certain EVOs that his bosses won't hesitate to kill, arguing that,
because a person is a person, no matter how screwed up they are.
Generator Rex is a series where the protagonist is valid, where it's about a teenager versus the adults trying to control him, a hero with power over machines fighting for what is humane and trying to not become part of a machine himself. Even though it was adapted from a comic book series named Machina Rex, you can still watch the cartoon without having any prior knowledge of its source material. And while it is a little weird how Rex keeps hitting on his doctor even though she's way too old for him, it's always something that the show itself and the character herself basically roll their eyes at. I can also understand how the one-liners and the guitar riffs might be annoying for some people.
Incoming!
Along with how the show's pacing sometimes bounces all over the place instead of building to a dramatic crescendo, but the way I see it, these quirks help to reinforce Rex's personality, because the series itself feels like an unapologetic window into the mind of a teenager. Not only is there actual craft on display here, from how the overexposed lighting resembles sunlight to the geometric vehicle designs and impressive in-between animation whenever Rex builds his weapons, Generator Rex is a cartoon brimming with its own stylistic identity, where its energetic Latin American protagonist wears orange goggles and can build giant orange swords, metal fists, or cannons around his hands, while punk rock music from a band named Orange plays in the background. Despite being a main character with amnesia, Rex Salazar still has a very specific personality, and his lack of memory even becomes a source of conflict at times, especially when the character is forced to reckon with his past mistakes after learning that he wasn't always a good person, as well as when the main villain tries to offer his knowledge about the past in exchange for Rex to join him. The main antagonist of Generator Rex is a sentient Evo named Van Cleis, whose nanite powers give him the ability to control nature, as opposed to Rex's machines, and while he claims to be fighting for the sake of Evos, the truth is that he's actually just using them to serve his own goals, like how he uses Cersei, the Evo goth girl that Rex has a crush on, as bait to lure Rex over to his side. What makes Van Cleis a villain isn't just that he wants to take over the world, is that he's manipulative and abusive, which makes it so that when Rex refuses to fall for his tactics, when he gives up the chance at having what he wants and even outsmarts Van Cleis, it feels all the more triumphant and heroic.
I won.
The best antagonists of Generator Rex are the ones who are polar opposites to Rex's character, not just in their power sets, but in their completely different ways of thinking that get under Rex's skin, creating interesting conflicts where the protagonist is genuinely challenged. We get episodes where Rex is forced to team up with his abrasive boss, voiced by J.K. Simmons, and even an episode where people just start hating Rex because he's still technically an Evo, which really gets us to feel the same hurt and anger that Rex feels, while also serving as a metaphor for racism and reactionary right-wing militias who use skepticism to spread hatred, something that feels relevant to the political climate of the early 2020s despite being written over 10 years earlier.
We're all infected, every one of us, even you.
Providence lies.
That's just... you are a moron!
Throughout the series, Rex is forced to actively stand up for what he believes in and make hard decisions, so that when he gives up information about his past in service of doing what's right, when he refuses to be blackmailed by the villains, or when he faces up to his mistakes that he doesn't even remember, it really feels as though Rex is truly in control of his own narrative. But it's not just the antagonists who are in contrast to Rex's character, it's the protagonists as well. The emotionally distant Agent 6 contrasts with Rex's emotionally active personality, Dr. Holiday is more altruistic than Rex, his best friend Noah offers advice from the perspective of a regular person, and even Bobo the talking monkey has his rebellious behavior that makes Rex seem more virtuous by comparison. From the heroes to the villains, nearly every member of the main cast is a foil to Rex's character, enough to even give Ben 10 a serious run for its money. Listen, I know people really like Ben 10 and it's a cult classic and everything, but if you want to know why I'm so critical of Ben 10 Alien Force, it's not just because I find it pretentious or because I don't think Ben's character really works in that show, it's because I've seen Generator Rex. I know what a fun, egotistical man-of-action protagonist with actual screen presence looks like, and his name is Rex Salazar. I mean, I still really like Yuri Lowenthal as a voice actor, but I feel like Daryl Sabrera is given a lot more material to work with, because with Generator Rex, you get a main character who feels so much more alive, more personable, more opinionated, and who gets to be challenged as a character a lot more often. While Ben Tennyson is an adolescent kid who needs to be responsible yet wants to be a hero with superpowers, he can never truly give up those powers for the greater good because doing so would mean the end of the narrative, whereas Rex Salazar is able to sacrifice what he wants and still have more story to make his way through. Where Ben 10 constantly flip-flops between either being mature or immature, Rex's characterization is a lot more consistent, and when Ben gets a god mode apotheosis, it's something that is never tied into his journey as a character. But when Rex gets his apotheosis, it's at the tail end of the series, is tied into the final secret that he learns about his past, and demonstrates how much he's grown as a person. Both protagonists are still flawed and egotistical, but Rex doesn't need a Grandpa Max to tell him right from wrong, because we usually get to see him figure it out on his own, see him have empathy for people, and end up as the one telling other characters what the right thing to do is. Instead of lessons on morality, Rex gets lessons about life, how he can't always expect everything to go his way, and to accept himself for where he currently is in that life.
This isn't the life you asked for, Rex, but it's the one you got. We have to make the best of it.
By the end of the series, Rex fully understands who he is and where he came from, but he's learned to create his own family out of the people he already has in his life. That it shouldn't just be about those you're related to by blood, it should be the people you care about, and who care about you in return. Sometimes a family can be a secret agent father figure, a motherly doctor, a cranky uncle who's learned to accept you, an eccentric scientist brother, and yes, a talking monkey. In my mind, Generator Rex is definitely my favorite Man of Action series, even compared to the original Ben 10 from 2005. Not every episode is a banger, but when it works, it works. The conflicts are engaging, you really care about the characters, and its stylistic quirks help the audience get inside the headspace of its immature teenage protagonist. Some people might recommend the series because of its talented voice acting cast, its soundtrack, its iconic lines of dialogue, or its satisfying romance between Dr. Holiday and Agent 6, but for me, I would recommend watching it for the character of Rex Salazar, a protagonist who actually has to work at being a hero, who sacrifices what he wants to do what's right, who has a unique personality, empathy for other people, and most of all, is a compelling human character. Rex Salazar is the reason why you should watch Generator Rex.